In the snow, outside a lonely German farmhouse, there was a single set of footprints. They led straight to the house, and there were no footprints leading away. Days later, 6 people who lived there were dead, and whoever made those tracks had never left. Because for nearly a week after the killings, someone was still living inside that house.
Feeding the animals, cooking meals, watching the road, and then vanishing as completely as they had arrived, never seen, never caught, never named.
This is the Hinterkaifeck murders, a century-old cold case so strange that it still defies every attempt to solve it.
Hinterkaifeck was a small, isolated farmstead in the Bavarian countryside, set apart from the nearest village, ringed by forest and open fields.
A single family lived and worked there. An older farmer, his wife, their widowed daughter, her 2 young children, and the family's maid.
It was a hard, quiet life, and in the spring of 1922, it began to feel like something was wrong with the farm itself. In the weeks before the tragedy, the farmer told neighbors about a string of unsettling events he couldn't explain. He'd found footprints in the snow, a single set, leading from the edge of the forest to the farm. But there were no tracks leading back. Whoever had come had not left. He heard footsteps in the attic. He found a newspaper on the property that no one in the family had bought, and a set of house keys had gone missing. Even more chilling, the family's previous maid had quit some time earlier, claiming the house was haunted. She said she heard voices and sounds she couldn't explain.
Now a new maid had just arrived to replace her. She would be at the farm for only a matter of hours before the killings began.
The farmer told people about the footprints and the sounds, but he didn't go to the police, and he didn't leave. He stayed on his land with his family as the sense of a presence closed in.
And then, one evening, the family of Hinterkaifeck was attacked. Over that night, all 6 people on the farm were killed with a heavy farm tool, a mattock taken from the property itself.
The way it unfolded suggests something coldly deliberate. Investigators later believed the victims may have been lured, 1 or 2 at a time, out to the barn, and that the killer waited for the others inside the house.
By the time it was over, an entire household had been wiped out. And here is where the case turns from a tragedy into something genuinely unnerving.
Because the killer did not flee into the night. The killer stayed. For days after the murders, neighbors noticed smoke rising from the farmhouse chimney. The animals were being fed and cared for. Someone was clearly there, living an ordinary routine. The family had simply stopped appearing in the village. Their mail piled up. The children stopped coming to school. But the farm itself seemed occupied, alive. Finally, several days later,
concerned neighbors walked out to Hinterkaifeck to check on the family, and they made the terrible discovery.
The scene told an impossible story. The victims had been dead for days, yet the house was warm, the animals fed, food in the kitchen eaten. The killer had lived alongside the crime for the better part of a week.
When the police arrived across the snow, they found no sign of forced entry that made sense, no clear motive, and a crime scene already disturbed by days of someone else's presence. In the attic, they found evidence that someone had been staying up there, hidden above the family, possibly for a long time before that night.
Money was found in the house, untouched. So robbery, the easiest explanation, didn't fit. This wasn't about valuables.
And that single detail from before, the footprints leading in but never out, took on a horrifying new meaning. Whoever made those tracks may never have left at all. They may have been inside the whole time.
The investigation was massive for its era. Hundreds of suspects were questioned over the years and decades that followed. There were theories of a jealous ex-partner, of a family secret, of an outsider with a grudge, of a drifter who'd been squatting in the attic. Each had a piece that fit, and pieces that didn't. The case was reopened again and again across the 20th century. New generations of investigators, using new methods, went back over the old evidence. As recently as modern times, police academies have used Hinterkaifeck as a training exercise, turning fresh eyes on the century-old file. They reportedly settled on a most likely suspect, but out of respect for living relatives, they never publicly named the person, and the case remains officially unsolved. So the deepest questions stay unanswered. Who lived in that attic? Who fed the animals after the family was gone? And how did they walk away across the snow without anyone ever seeing them leave? What makes Hinterkaifeck linger isn't just the crime, it's the patience of it, the footprints weeks before, the sounds in the attic, the killer who stayed for days, calm and unhurried, in a house full of the dead. This wasn't a burst of violence and a panicked escape. It was something that watched and waited and settled in. The farmstead itself was eventually torn down. The fields returned to grass. Today, a quiet marker stands where the house once was, out in the Bavarian countryside.
But the question still stands with it. 6 people, one lonely farm, a single set of footprints in the snow, and a killer who walked in, made himself at home, and then walked straight out of history.
If Hinterkaifeck got under your skin, bolt the door and stay with us. Like this video and subscribe to Backcountry Files. Tell me below who you think was living in that attic, because some cases don't close, they just go cold.